So for a lot of you that are watching tonight, you're either in the process of finishing your book or you're looking for ways to not get distracted and finish your book. And I just want to share a quick tool I found that was amazing. It's on YouTube. It's a channel called Ambient Render. If you search for it, you'll find similar channels, but you can see behind me, this is a really cool little screen that you can use, and you can tie it in to a screen behind you that actually works like a Zoom background. You can tie it into a computer and actually have it as a live Zoom background, and you can change it up. It's kind of like just, I'm literally sitting it in front of my TV right now, but you can see like there's some, it's peaceful, it's calming. There's you can kind of see it better when I get out there. So anyways, I recommend it because it really helps me stay focused. You can tell there's chaos going on around me all the time. You can hear my dog going nuts. This is like happens 24/7, and I'm super ADD. So I have to find a way to just block it all out and stay really focused on my writing, on building my business, on creating email campaigns, building funnels and sales pages, just like you guys do. So anyways, I just wanted to share that quick tool. And at the end, if you want, once we finish with Alana, I'm going to give you some updates on an event that we have that's coming up and go through a couple of quick things. So real quick, welcome you guys. Alana, thanks for being here. Happy New Year.
You too.
Thank you. And did you decide as far as that the one that we're going to do in 2 weeks, is that going to work?
Yeah, that's going to work just fine.
Okay, because we're having our event January 29th, so that'll be a few days before that event as well. So that's fine. That'll work out for us all. So that way, every
Cool.
2 weeks we're doing these, you guys. And tonight, I'm super excited because one of the main things we're going to be talking about is really your keywords, understanding the KDP dashboard. So for Leah, who's launching, Trish is launching, congratulations. They just finished their book, so they're going to be part of our January launch. This will be very, very helpful to come into this. So I will monitor the room and let people in, and let Alana go ahead and take it away.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, congrats for those who are launching soon. That's really, really exciting. And yeah, I love your tool, Melanie. Anytime anybody wants to chat, just productivity and how to get your nose to the grindstone. I love doing that. I also love chatting about the marketing. So today we've already done a lot with the paid ads. We've talked about Amazon ads, Facebook ads, BookBub ads. I'm here for questions you might have, but we're going to shift gears and we're going to be talking about launching your book, how to just do this stuff in the KDP dashboard, the blurb, the categories, that kind of thing. And any kind of questions that you might have about that process, the launch process, or the publication process, feel free to jump in. So I'm not sure I'm a co-host yet, Melanie. Can you make me a co-host? Oh, no, I'm set. Okay.
Yes. Oh, okay.
It looks like I'm ready to share. I need to figure out which screen I want to be looking at. I'm going to look at this screen and share that screen. Let's try that. No, that's not going to do it. Give me just a second. Okay. And sharing my screen. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to walk you through first is just the step-by-steps of uploading your book on KDP. And while we do it, we will cover things like best strategies, how to pick your keywords, all of that kind of stuff. So you're going to go to kdp.amazon.com and it is going to connect to your regular amazon.com account. So you really shouldn't have to do a whole lot. They might, before they pay you, you'll need to upload tax information, payment information. But I think basically like you can go on to kdp.amazon.com tonight and at least poke around here. But they'll need you to upload a couple things before you can at least get paid. Are we all familiar enough with what KDP is, or should we go back and cover that for a couple minutes? What do you think, Melanie?
I think you're mostly familiar with that. And
Okay.
for all of our authors in this particular program that are getting the ongoing support, we actually do a lot of, we can either upload their materials or they can upload their own materials. The only thing we do is because we are launching their book, then we go in and put in their categories. And
Wow.
that helps with, we do a lot of research for the bestseller range.
Mhm.
So they really need to focus on the, the keywords, their book description, because a lot of times people get stuck in wanting to write several paragraphs of a book description
Mhm.
to try to sell the
Right.
whole book, and they don't know the purpose of it on Amazon. Or should they use the same book description on multiple platforms and aggregate things like that? And, my rule
Mhm.
of thumb is always whatever your book description is would normally be what you'd put on the back cover. And then
Mhm.
because you're selling it digitally on Amazon, even if it's a hard copy, they're not going to be browsing a bookstore looking at your back cover. So you can literally put the same information if that makes it easier for some people.
Exactly.
So yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
great.
yeah, and
So I'll,
they can update their own.
okay.
They can either upload their own materials and do their own keywords, but we still have to have access to their accounts and logins to do the
Mhm.
categories so that because it can be really wonky.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I will do the walkthrough focusing mostly on the categories and the blurbs. So when you are ready to publish, let's just start with the ebook. That's usually easier. So let me get myself logged in over here and then I'll get my screen back up. Um, So you've got your book title and subtitle, and actually let's start here. This is actually a really good place to do some research, especially your subtitle. You can, so you want your title and especially your subtitle to make it very, very clear what you're talking about. So if you have just a very, very vague title, like, I don't know, like empowered or, like a one word thing, that's okay. But you absolutely need to make sure that your subtitle then is really, really, really clear, like a middle-aged woman's guide to parenting her kids feeling confident, right? Like you need to be really, really cognizant of, at a glance, people should know if this is a book for them or not. The subtitle is also a good place where you can put in some keywords. So like the example that I came up with, it had parenting, it had confidence. So you can think of even the keywords that you want to use. Sometimes those are good to put in your subtitle, because then when people are searching for Amazon, let's say you're doing a book about, well, actually, how about for those of you who are launching this week, why don't you throw in chat your title and or who your book is for, what your book's about, and I can give you more specific examples. But your subtitle, let's say you're writing a book for single parents to get a good handle on their finances. You want to have single parents, you want to have finances or money there in the subtitle so that it will help you in the searching. So this is a place to start even before we get into categories and keywords. You want to make sure that the subtitle matches what's on your cover, or sometimes it won't pass KDP's kind of quality flags. So if your subtitle is one thing and you decide you want to pack in a couple more keywords, that will need to be changed on your title too, or else Amazon might come back at some point and be like, you're not allowed basically to put a subtitle here in KDP that's not on your actual book cover. If your book is part of a series, then you can add this. And this is something to at least consider as you're writing a book. Does it have series potential? Sometimes you really won't know until you've released the first book. And then ways you can know if there's a series is, one, do you still have more ideas in you? Do you keep saying, oh, I wish I had told them this, or, oh, I forgot to mention this, or like, maybe you taught at a beginner level and now you're ready to be like, and for people who are ready to take the step to intermediate and advanced, here's other things that didn't make it in the first book. Not every book has to be a series for sure, but it's something to keep in mind as a way to, make more money. Because if you get a reader to buy book one, it's way easier to get them to buy book two, right? As opposed to finding new readers just for one book. The other reason you'll know if a series is a good idea is if a lot of your reviews say things like, I can't wait to read more from this author on this topic, right? So let's see. Let me look at the the comments here. The road back to you, finding your way after losing a child to suicide. Okay, fabulous, because this is going to be very, very clear what it's like and who it's for. And remember, when you write your title, your subtitle, your blurb, it's to get the right people to find your book, but it's also to make sure that the wrong people don't buy your book, right? So you didn't mince words here, right? People aren't going to pick up this book thinking that it's a book about reconciling with your adult children or something, right? And that's important. So sometimes we have a hard time narrowing our audience because we want to feel as though our book is going to be loved by everybody. But you know, the adage really is true. If you're marketing to everybody, you're really not marketing to anybody. So it's way better to be specific, even if it kind of goes against your instinct, even if you feel like, okay, well, I want more people to read it, so I don't want to narrow it. Just remember, you want the right people to read it. And this is actually very important for launching. You want the right people to read your book, because I'm going to show you all about Amazon also bots and why they are so critically important. So I'm not talking about BOT like a robot. I'm talking about BOUTS. So I'm going to take this example of this title. I'm going to put it in here. I know the book might not be live yet, but just to see if we can find other examples. Okay, we have a lot of Enneagram things. How about parent grief or parent bereavement? I would say would be a good term for you to have in your category. Okay, this one looks terribly sad, but probably along the lines of what we're looking for. Okay, so now what we want to do, we're looking at also bots. Oh, I want to be on the Kindle. The also bots are the books that Amazon promotes on your sales page. So sometimes if it says sponsored here, these are people who have created Amazon ads, but then often they don't have it on every book on every page, but often they have a row of books that says people who read this book also have bought that book. And so what you want to have is, let's just assume, pretend this sponsored isn't here and pretend this is just the also bought. So people who bought this title also bought these titles. This is very clearly all the same style of book. And the reason I point that up is because, especially for your very first book, it's so exciting to get it out there that it's really, really easy to just jump on Facebook and tell everybody who knew you and people you went to high school with and your cousin's spouse and your next door neighbor. And I think there's for sure a place for that. But what some authors do, what the worst case scenario that happens when you just kind of market to everybody that you know personally, instead of really trying to find the people who are looking for a book on your topic, is it's going to make the also bots very, very confusing. So let's say that you tell your grandma about this book that you've written, and she's so proud of you that she tells her 80 best friends, and all of her 80 best friends buy your book. And your grandma is into knitting and cooking and gardening. And so you've written this book about bereavement, but Amazon is seeing that the majority of people who have purchased this book are people who love cookbooks, right? For like one example. And so then Amazon's going to get confused, and their AI is going to get confused. And they might say, okay, well, here were 15 people who love cookbooks, but they bought this book, so we should show this book to people who like cookbooks. And then they're going to show it to people who don't know you, who are cookbook shoppers, and they're going to be like, I don't want to buy this book. So they won't click on it. They won't buy it. And then Amazon's AI is going to say, oh, this book is a dud. All right. So that's kind of the worst case scenario. I'm not saying you need to make it a rule that you don't tell people. What some people do, if they're very, very careful about this, is they'll wait a couple of weeks until their also bots look really secure and strong, and then they'll let other people know. I don't think that most people, especially for a debut book, needs to go to that extreme, but it's something for you to keep in mind. It's better to get 3 sales a day for the first 2 weeks of your launch from people who are expressly interested in your book, than it is to get 20 sales in the first day from a ton of random people and then no sales afterwards, right? That's just one of the ways to kind of boost the algorithm in your favor. All right. So let's see, let me go back now. What are we looking at? So that was the also bots. A lot of this stuff, we don't need to spend a ton of time. You've got your author, obviously. Let's talk about your blurb next. And let me see what other, I want to see what other subjects we are. So a picture book without a subtitle. I don't think a lack of a subtitle for a picture book is detrimental, but it's something where you're like, well, if it wouldn't hurt. So let's do a tiny bit of a search. So picture books for kids. Let's see what, so what you'll see, like this is a nice option. Chocolate milk, por favor. And then the subtitle, celebrating diversity with empathy, so that parents see kind of at a glance what it is and who it's for. A funny rhyming read aloud picture book, kids' bedtime books. So that seems to be what a lot of people are doing. And then, here's one where there's no, moon, a peek through picture book. Okay, that's, or the hippopotamus, me and my dragon. So it's not always necessary, but in a way, it's almost like if you don't have a reason not to put a subtitle on, you kind of may as well. So let me show you what I do. Now, this is for my novels, but it'll still be an example. Is I make my novels have the genre in the title, a Kennedy Stern Christian suspense novel. So that way, if somebody's searching Christian suspense novel, my book is going to be more likely to pop up in there. So again, you don't need a subtitle for a picture book, but if you don't have an aversion to getting one, I like how some of these do it, especially like this. They just make it so clear what it is. A blank book for blank, or a blank book about blank. All right, living with dirty glasses, heal with empathy. Okay, so that one, it still doesn't, I would think about the healing with empathy to at least consider, are you healing yourself? Is this a book about self-healing, or is this a book about like helping others, healing the world with empathy, healing your family, healing generational things? So if it's self-healing, I would just heal yourself, how to heal yourself with empathy might be a little bit more useful. And, there are other things that you can do. Your cover is going to help generate the feel and all of this. So I don't want anybody to feel like there's only one right way to do all these things. If you get the subtitle wrong, it's going to be the end of your launch or things like that. It's just kind of all these things put together can help. So let me go back to the KDP dashboard, and we're going to talk next about descriptions. So Melanie, are you providing descriptions, or is each author responsible for coming up with their description?
We do a lot of our cover contests early on. So their covers are pretty much like they test them out and they get different votes and everything. So I don't know if you know that part of our process. But they can change like the descriptions, because most of their covers are already designed and ready to go. And
right.
Final. So this is a chance, if the title isn't clear, it's really good to put it in the description.
Yeah.
We ask that they do their own book description, and then we work with them to edit them as well.
Great. Yeah, that sounds perfect. So let's do the self-healing. Well, let me tell you a little bit. Let me back up before we go into examples. Let's talk just a tiny bit about what your description does. It really is meant to, it's 50% to attract the right readers and 50% to let the wrong readers know that it's not for them, right? That's why we talked about wanting to have these clean also bots and not to feel like we're marketing to everybody and things like that. Some of the most powerful words for copywriting are you. And so that's going to be a big one. You can address the reader. It won't be quite as chatty as like a Facebook ad. Facebook ads can get pretty chatty. It could be like, hey mom, are you looking for a book to sit down and cuddle with your kiddo? Right? That's a tiny bit too chatty, but it doesn't have to be like what we would picture as the description on the back of a college textbook, right? So if you've got a spectrum from really, really, really chatty to like the college textbook, we can be like middle to a little less formal. Addressing the reader directly can be really powerful because it's helping them to get this sense of, is this book for me? So a way I like to think about it is I almost like to think about it as when you're setting up your like a dating profile, you don't want to really just like the most boring dating profile is this is my gender, this is my age, this is the general area where I live, and this is my occupation, and this is who I'm looking for, right? Like that's very, very boring. And so you want to make sure that you're not just presenting like what I tell authors, like somebody could find that by looking at your driver license, right? What you want to do is you want to show beyond that. You want to say, not just this is a book by this person about that. You really want to generate the feel. So a really good way, I like to get into the mindset of writing my blurb before I actually sit down to write it. And the question I like to ask myself, I like to come up with a scenario where my most enthusiastic reader, who is the perfect target audience, like this is the individual who was like, I had in mind that I was writing this book for, and they loved it even more than I hoped they would. Now, that person is telling their best friend about how great your book was, about how much they enjoyed reading it, about how life-changing it was. And then they're trying to convince their best friend why they need to read it as well. So I almost like what I like to do is I will actually kind of sit with that brainstorming picture. I pretend like I go through a whole visualization process. I pretend I'm in this cafe and my ideal reader is sitting with her very, very best friend, and they're talking about my book, and they have no idea that I'm there, like listening in. And I actually like jot down notes. These are what she says about my book. She says it's this and that and that. She said that while she was reading it, she felt this, she felt that, she felt that. These are the ahas she had. This is how it transformed her life. And then this is why her best friend has to read it. Okay. And so then I jot down all of those things. So let's talk about the kids book. Okay. So let's say it's a daycare worker talking to one of her parents about the mom complains like, I'm reading the same 3 books to my kids and I'm so tired of them. Okay. She says, oh, well, we just got this new book at the daycare and your child loves it. It's this, and that. Like, what is it? Is it cute, whimsical, rhyming, fun, right? It makes the reader. So in this case, when you're doing a kid's book, it's a fun balance to come up with because you're advertising in a way to 2 different ideal readers, right? Your ideal reader is the parent and your ideal reader is the child. And so you could almost run through this in 2 ways. Okay, what's the child think about it? Why does the child say they like it? And then why does the parent say they like it? What's the child's parent say about it? And so I would almost go through both of those and try to allow your blurb to have an equal number of both. So if the kid says it's funny, it's goofy, it made me laugh, okay, those are cool things. And then if the parent's the one trying to convince someone to read it, it was like, oh, it was beautiful artwork, it rolled off the tongue. Another thing that you want to think about in writing your blurb is what we call the reader experience. How does the reader feel when they are reading your book? I hope that by this point, every single person who's about to launch like has 1 or 2 words that they don't have to think about to know that. If you want to even throw them in chat to kind of solidify it, what will your reader feel when they read your book? Encouraged, inspired, informed, empowered, amused, right? And so you really want to think about the entire experience. And again, this is where you can use that beautiful gift of imagination. Like imagine your reader. I think since we're all authors, we probably at some point have all read books that we loved, that we got lost in. So picture a reader getting lost in your book. What are they doing for the picture book? Maybe it's the mom and the dad and the dog, and they're all like snuggled on the couch with blankets, drinking hot chocolate, reading this book, right? Or maybe let's see, if we're talking about healing with empathy, maybe it's about like, oh, I feel so encouraged right now. I feel this weight lifted off of my shoulders. Most people who write nonfiction, they're writing to give their reader an aha moment. So almost picture what the aha moment's going to look like after the fact, and then describe that. This book will allow you to feel this, because that's what people want. They don't want the words, they want the experience, right? For any kind of self-help, no matter what you're writing, people are not as interested in the information that you're going to give. They can get information from a blog post. They can get information from a Wikipedia entry, right? Like somebody could look up what a researcher has said that parents of a child who dies by suicide, what the steps of grieving they go through. That's totally different than reading about somebody who is holding your hand, walking you through their journey. So I really want you to also think about the parts of this book that could have only been written from you, right? So let's look at, let's talk about the road back to you as an example, finding your way after losing a child to suicide. Feel free to jump in if I'm incorrect. I'm going to assume that you are someone that you love very much has walked through this. And so you are walking through this. So nobody else has walked through this in the exact same way that you have. That's the part that only you can bring to it. Or the book about self-healing. Lots of people talk about that subject, right? But you have a unique healing journey and healing experience and perspective on self-healing. And so really like ask yourself, why did I write this book when other books on the same subject exist? And then what is it that is different about my book? Maybe it's more personal, more filled with anecdotes. Maybe it's totally the opposite. Maybe it's like, it's more scientific and clinical, right? Like picture two books about weight loss. One can be a woman's journey from extreme obesity and all of the emotional baggage that came and how she was fat shamed her whole life and how hard it was the first day she went to the gym. And it could be like kind of this memoir. And one could be like, here's all the research about, how people lose weight effectively. There's a place for both, but you need to ask yourself, what is it that your book brings? Give me just a sec. Okay, questions so far? Can I still put it on Amazon if the subtitle isn't on my book cover? You definitely can. Just at some point, Amazon might send you an email that says, hey, we noticed your subtitle doesn't match. We need it to match. And then at that point, you would either need to put it on the cover, even if it's like an itty bitty small font somewhere, or you would just take it off of the KDP account. It's not the biggest deal to put up a subtitle that's not on your cover when you're doing your KDP account. But if they email you, if they catch you, go ahead and make it right. All right. So now that we've talked a little bit about kind of the mindset of getting into your description, what your description should do, let's just go ahead and look at a few examples. So you definitely want to start with a hook. You always want to remember that you are advertising to people who are very they're in the habit of skimming things. So you want to make your first couple lines very, very clear if the book's for them. So I like to just look at some examples for starters. So let's not do picture books first, but remind me and we'll get to that. Go ahead.
Real quick, for those of you that are planning to launch soon, if you have your book description, you can cut and paste it and put it in the chat.
Oh, I would be happy to give a critique. Yep.
I mean, I know this is kind of like try to find it really quickly, but I don't know if I have those at my disposal real quick, but you guys should have them if you have all your final materials ready for launch. So if you want to throw it in there, then we can at least give you some feedback during the call live and look at other ones. So that would probably be a good opportunity for you guys while we're on the call.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So how do you get to bestseller on Amazon if you don't want people buying your book that don't necessarily relate to your book? That has more to do with what happens in the algorithm. So if you want to get to like a bestseller status, you're going to probably, it depends on each category, but you're definitely going to want to have sales in the hundreds. Now, most of us don't have like 350 close friends who are close enough friends that they're going to buy our book. So we kind of need to reach beyond that kind of inner circle anyway. And so the way you do that is just by being mindful of Amazon's algorithm and how it works. So,
I was going to say real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, just on
of
Trish's
course,
book, just because I wrote a book that was similar about parents and grief. And one of the things we did when we marketed the book is we set up different ad campaigns. So we targeted, it's really hard to target people who
it's
are in
super hard.
grief mode. So we also put in the book description that it makes a great gift for if you know somebody that's really shut down, is really struggling, and they need
Yes.
this resource of hope. It makes a great gift when you don't know what to say. Because like I know I get a lot of people that like probably 50% of our sales is somebody buying it for someone else. So
Yeah, good
that's
point.
the kind of thing you could put in your book description as well.
So, like bestsellers in death and grief are all over the place. Like at least half of these look to be novels, which really isn't the best. Like this is just kind of a messy category, but that's also going to mean that's so. Let me back up. You almost, if you're very goal driven to get in this top 100 in your category, it's important to do some research. Not all categories are created equally. So as an example, let's just use these two categories. This one is on death and grief, and this one is on the sociology of death. And let's compare these two. First, we're just going to skim. So death and grief, like I said, I'm seeing lots of novels, like novel, pretty sure that's a novel, novel, novel. Sociology of death is very different. These look like, memoirs. There's kind of this minimalist cover feel. I'm going to guess that this category would be easier to rank in. So what you want to do is you want to look at, so let's go to number 100, because you just have to get to number 100 to get the bestseller status in this category. So the way to do a little bit of research is to look at the ones at the bottom of the list. So let's just pull this one up randomly. Then what you're going to do is scroll down and notice the bestseller rank. If your bestseller rank is number 1, that means you're the top seller in the Kindle store at this moment. If your rank is maybe like 5 million, that means that maybe your book has sold like a copy a quarter. If your book's like around 1 million, that means that you're selling 1 or 2-ish every so often. So a really good sweet spot to stay. I like to think of the concept of just a perennial bestseller. To be like to get the official Amazon bestseller tag or USA Today bestseller, those need to be a lot of sales in a short amount of time. Whereas a perennial bestseller is just going to sell well day in and day out. Some of this has to do more with kind of your like marketing plans and goals, as well as your marketing personality. I would prefer to have a book that sells 100 copies a month for 5 years. Never ranks crazy high, never gets a tag, but it's consistent and people come in, than to sell like 10,000 in my launch week and then jump down to like one a month or something. Now there are two, like I said, there's kind of a spectrum, and some of it is just personal preference. If you want to just kind of be in that sweet spot of like, you've got books selling regularly, but you're not like taking over your genre, that tends to be in around the 40,000 to 100,000 ranking. Like that tends to be just a nice, healthy rank. By the time you get to like below 10,000, that means that you're putting a lot of work in and you're doing something really, really good. So that's kind of how to read the ranks. And so what I'm seeing is that in this category for the sociology of death, somebody's a bestseller who's not amazingly ranked. They're not really like, they're not like dying in obscurity, but they're also like not 5,000 in the store. or something. That tells me that this is probably not a very competitive genre. On the other hand, let's look at this one where it was more novels and things like that. If we look at someone on the lower end of this list.
And just in case it's helpful, just in context, we actually research all of this for you guys. So we pick your categories and we add them in. When we publish on Amazon, they only give you 2 categories. So we actually go in and add you to multiple categories. So you have a much better chance of ranking based on the algorithm and AI for other people that are launching that day, because we don't always know how many people are launching today, you know, and how many people are going to buy their book. So we have, you know, we have to try to look at it as a science and work around the algorithms. And we have ways to do that where we can research in advance. So for all of you that we're launching your books, pretty much everybody in this group, you don't have to worry about that part too much. It's more of a curiosity, but you can update your keywords even after your book has come out based on, you know, you can hit bestseller ranking and you might hold the bestseller ranking for a couple of days. You might even, some of them have held it for a few weeks. I mean, it's tough to do that, to hang on to it that long, because there's so many people literally every day and every hour launching their books. So that's the expectation that you have to manage, knowing you may hit bestseller, but that doesn't mean you're going to be bestseller for like months or the years. And also the people, and Alana, I'm sure you can attest, the people that have thousands of reviews are most likely doing paid ads. It doesn't mean they're just a major publisher, or even if they're self-published, they're driving traffic and people to their books with some of the things, the tools that you guys are learning here in these calls. Which is why they're accelerating their reviews. It's really difficult to do, to get thousands of reviews from organic traffic of people just randomly finding you on Amazon. It just doesn't work like that.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I just want to reiterate how impressive it is. Like, a lot of authors hate doing this kind of category research. So it's great that Melanie is providing this. That's really, really useful. So let's go back now to talk about blurbs. And I see some people have entered theirs in, so we'll get into that too. All right, so a few things are going on here. What I like is there's lots of white space, right? You don't want a chunk of text. Like, I think it was this one. Do you see here what, even before you click read more, it's a very, very dense chunk, right? Whereas this one too, it's all like, wow. So some people are not going to take the time. This might be a very, very, very well-crafted blurb, but some people are gonna be like, oh, that looks like a long, you know, list of words to read. And so something like this, where you have shorter paragraphs, can be really, really useful. I have mixed feelings. KDP allows you to play around with headings. I would say don't overdo it. I would say this, for me personally, this one kind of has a little bit too much flashing neon lights going on. So you want to kind of find that balance. You want to draw people in, but you also want your words to stand on their own.
And one quick thing, I'm so sorry to keep butting in, but
no, I love it.
I literally have had people say, I went on this guy's website and I didn't buy because it had an exclamation mark after want to learn about yoga, an exclamation, like 2 exclamation marks.
It's a little over the top.
It's a little cringy, and it makes it seem like you're trying too hard to sell them, like, do it now.
Yes.
Especially
yes.
when, you know, like the way you look at how this person put it in there, it's all bold. And it says buy now in the top corner now. And it's like, you know, you don't want to appear desperate, like buy my book now. And to me, that screams like that is amateurish, you know, and like you don't want to appear that way. So just be mindful of that too.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because so much of what goes into your blurb really is the mindset that you're bringing into it. If you're bringing in a very desperate mindset, then you're, again, think about the dating profiles. You're going to sense the person who's like, oh, this is going to be a very clingy SO, right? Or a high maintenance person. Like if it's all like very, very, very kind of hyper, love me, choose me, pick me, I can't wait to meet you. Whereas there's this sense of like, here I am, this is who I am. I know exactly who I am. I also know that I'm not for everybody, but if I happen to be for you, let's talk. Right. So there's kind of, I like to encourage authors, like if you're feeling really, really, really insecure about your book, that's not the best time to write your blurb. And so like, let's say you launch your book and 3 days later, you're disappointed in your sale numbers and you say, okay, I'm going to go change my blurb. But you're doing it out of that like crazy desperation, right? Until I make, 100 sales or 50 sales or 1,000 sales or whatever that number is, I'm not a real author. People aren't going to love me enough. That's not the best time. So do something to kind of pump up your confidence, pump up your energy. That's why I love that visualization of like your most enthusiastic reader, and just hearing all the praise they're pouring out in your book. That's the kind of confidence you want to bring in. Here's something else that I don't love. This is an entire paragraph that's very, very, very negative. And so there's this idea of you want to address pain points, right? Somebody probably wants your book. If it's a how-to book or a self-help, somebody wants your book because they have a problem and they believe that you are going to help them with it. But it's much more powerful to, again, focus on the positive end result than to jab them where they're at, right? You don't kick someone when they're down. So for me, are you labeled as being oversensitive? Do you understand others, including their hidden motive? Are you overwhelmed? Are you intimidated? Do you have anxiety? Are toxic? No. Okay. So first of all, I don't want to admit that I'm those things, right? By buying this book, does that mean that I'm saying, yes, I agree that I'm anxious and I have tons of toxic people, right? So that's some of it. And some of it just is like, wow, this sounds like a downer, right? That's why I saw a Facebook ad once as kind of, I think it was in a class that I was taking as a student, and it was an example of what not to do. And it was a book for parents of picky eaters. And the picture that was like, here's what not to do, is the kid like crying, like, red in the face, screaming, about to throw the food all over. And the mom and dad just super overwhelmed. People already know feelings of overwhelm and anxiety. You don't need to remind people of that. What they need to be reminded of is the feelings that your training can help them with. So in that hypothetical example, like a happy kid in the high chair eating, peas, right? That would be so different. So you really want, again, this picture of when my reader has the transformative aha epiphany experience, how is that going to look and feel for them? And how is their life going to change? That's what you want to bring into your blurb. So if we were workshopping this one, it could be something like, even just like stop feeling overwhelmed is so much more empowering to the reader than are you overwhelmed, right? So do you see the differences there? Again, this is more of a formatting thing, but this just happens to be, it's like, if everything's bold, then nothing catches your eye, right? So if you're going to use bold, just use it kind of tastefully. All righty. So let's look at some of the examples that people have put in chat. Oh, and a question up here says, those I've asked to read and give reviews on my book haven't all had suicide loss. That's totally fine. The beginning reviews, that's a little bit different. It makes sense to have your initial reviews be kind of whoever's willing to do it for you. And that's not going to impact the algorithm and mess up the also bots in the same way that if they, if 50 people who aren't your ideal target are the first 50 people to buy your book, that's not a big deal. Similarly, if you sell 5,000 copies of your book and 50 of them happen to be to people who aren't the right audience, that's okay too. The only thing we don't want is to have Amazon see the overwhelming majority of your first purchases aren't all readers in the same category. That's what's going to get Amazon's algorithm confused. Okay. Have you ever stopped? So I'm looking at chat. I think everybody can see it in their chat too. Have you ever stopped and thought, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get past this? So again, there should be a apostrophe in what's wrong with me. And again, we want to make sure you only have a few lines before. So when I go to read less, you only have a couple lines. That's another reason why I don't like the really big font right at the beginning, because it takes up a lot of space. And also you don't want like typos, right? And so if all I see is, have you ever stopped and thought, what's wrong with me? Why can I get past this? The couple things that I'm seeing here is it's still not telling me exactly everybody has thought what's wrong with you. So you're in slight danger of feeling as though you need to address everybody. And you're also kind of on the negative side. But let's see what else comes. You see people thriving and crushing their goals, and you think, I just need to try harder. It was a wrong goal, or what's the point anyways? Are you tired of saying no when you want to say yes? Are you tired of feeling afraid? Do you find you are living on autopilot? I really like that one. That's a good, that's the first one that really didn't feel like it was just kind of a cliche. I really like that. Do you find you're living on autopilot, inching your way through the days, yet look in the mirror and see more time is flying past? That should be PAST. What if everything you believed was a result of wearing dirty glasses? Okay, I get where you're going here. Glasses you've had on for so long that you never thought to question what you saw or the lens you were filtering your world through. Okay. And then here's what I would say. I would say we can shorten it because, again, not everybody's going to take the time to read every word. So I think that we can, shorten the beginning part and not have it only negative focused. Are you tired of saying no when you want to say yes? Or you're tired of being afraid? Are you living on autopilot? I think, there's a way to address these pain points without being really heavy-handed. And I think, if you maybe took half of what you've got here, I don't think it would be quite as heavy-handed. And then you're transitioning into this idea of dirty glasses, which ties into your book title and things like that. I think what you need next, I think you need a little transition, because then you just jump into Leah. I'm like, is Leah? I assume that Leah is you, but the very first direction, again, make it really, really, really simple, because people are not reading every single word and waiting to digest the meaning. They're just giving it a glance. So what I think this blurb means is a short transition. Dirty Glasses, or, whatever the title of your book is, a blank, blank book that will help blank, blank people achieve blank, blank, right? Like if you want to Mad Lib it, just about anybody who's writing nonfiction or how to can have like a sentence like that just kind of says who you are. This is a something something book for this kind of person that will do what. So who are you writing to? What are you teaching them? And what kind of book is it? Is it inspiring? Is it gentle? Is it hard hitting? Is it, tough love? There's so many flavors, and you really want to, especially if you're writing on a topic that like kind of could appeal to a lot of people. Like I said, everybody lives on autopilot sometimes. Everybody feels like they're not achieving their goals sometimes. So think about, again, what makes your most ideal reader different? What makes your book different from other books? Is this, are you the super kind and gentle, I'm just going to be your cheerleader, we're going to get through this together? Or are you like the boot camp instructor who's like, get up off the ground, stop crying, and let's go do this, right? So figure out what are the words that describe your book. So this is a hard-hitting, nothing held back book for people who are stuck to get off their butts and finally live the life they know they were meant to live. Okay, that's option one. Now I'm going to give you an example to show you kind of the other extreme, so we can see like how much shape you can give it. This is an encouraging, inspiring book for well-intentioned people who know that they can do more, to learn how to gently give themselves the space they need to reach their fullest potential, right? Do you hear how different those are? And so again, you want to make sure to keep in mind, you want to be bringing in the right people and you want to be pushing away the wrong people. And so you really want to nail down even the tone of your book should match the tone of your blurb. So if your book's really, really, like I said, kind of like hard hitting, I'm going to give you all the tough love in the world, then go at it. If your book's just gentle and inspiring and it's meant to feel like a warm hug, right? Get that in there. All right. And then we can go ahead and talk about you. Leah is no stranger to the trials and tribulations of the transition. Leah takes you through her transformation, surpassing a childhood in chaos, a family wrecked with mental health, all dying to have a new beginning. It's living her dream and passion of art, creative storytelling, and enjoying your family. She takes you through to the journey to make sense of it all and give you the tools and mindset it takes to show up empowered, brave as your vibrant self. Honestly, that feels like it would be a better fit for the about the author section. I think that people are going to be more interested in what am I going to get out of this book? So I think you could, I mean, you want them to know a little bit about you, but I don't think they need to know all the details right now, or else they might be, I would be a tiny bit worried that like, oh, I thought this was a self-help book, but actually it's just like a woman's memoir about what she overcame, right? There's a difference there too. I think that you're smart giving it this bullet point. In Living with Dirty Glasses, you'll learn how to identify the part of your past holding you back, challenge labels, actionable strategies. Okay, these are really, really good bullet points. So I would say for sure, like those are perfect. I think that's really, really great. So I would say honestly, like if you just came up with 3 to 5 lines that just kind of reworked this first part that maybe weren't, if you're not kind of the boot campy kind of person, if you're more of the warm, gentle hug kind of person, right? Like show us the tone and then dive into these bullet points. And then I would pull out the, a lot of this middle section for the about the author. And then what I recommend also, okay, I was going to say, I recommend a call to action, but it looks like you have that. Okay. I really like this bottom section where you're talking to them. You say, I've tried so many things, nothing is working. I hear you. Don't get them confused with the pronouns. So what I would say is you've tried so many things. Honestly, this feels like the very first time that I'm catching your tone. Your tone is, I was in this rat race of trying to improve myself. I get the frustration. So it's not until here's where I feel like you really found your tone. So what I recommend, let's move things around. Let's take this and bump that up. So maybe like give us 1 or 2 sentences. Are you this? Are you that? Have you tried so many things and nothing's working? I hear you. I was in that trap. And then I feel like that gives the feel of what they're getting. And then what I would say is the take a journey is a nice call to action. It says, take a journey to clean up your glasses and debunk long-held beliefs that are getting in the way of showing up as a person you want to be. So I like that you didn't end it with just the bullet points. It's really nice to, like I said, include that call to action at the end so that people are very clear. Okay, now it's time to go buy and read this book. All right, let's do Trish's, and then maybe we need to save some of these for next time too. Let's look at Trish's real quick. May 7th, the last.
Look at Trisha's because hers is launching. AJ, I know you're trying to get it done, but if you want to send it to me next time in advance, I can actually post it, or I can send it to Alana. We can share it on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
since we're going to run out of time to do that, then let's just focus on Trisha's right now, if you guys don't mind.
Yep. All right. Trish, my big question for you is if you had to break down how much of your book is memoir and how much of your book is self-help. I'm sure there's some of both, but do you have a feel for what your breakdown is? Okay, no worries. Let's just jump in. Okay, the reason I asked is because starting this way makes me feel like it's going to lean more toward the memoir side. And like I said, there's perfect places for both. If this was going to be like you write 3 paragraphs about what you went through and the rest of the book is just kind of everyday help for people, then you would want to not lead with so much. But, I'm assuming that your personal story is in there quite a bit. So this is fine. Last day of my normal life. Do you ever think of the moment that will change your life forever? I like that. That's a grabbing for sure. People will already know what the topic of your book is because of your subtitle. So honestly, I almost feel like you should lead with that. Do you ever think of that moment that will change your life forever? I don't think many of us go through life thinking of the possibility of tragedy. When I look back now, my life was so perfect. Middle-class family. Who knew 24 hours later, my perfect middle-life class would cease to exist? Our son died by suicide. I didn't think I would ever be okay. Suicide affects thousands. I'm sharing. Okay, here we go. I'm sharing with you my own personal experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I really like that. I can already tell that this is, you're not holding back. You're not sugarcoating a single thing. I'm sharing what helped me and what hindered me. My journey started from rock bottom and the most unexpected turn of events to joy and Let's see if we have more. To joy and purpose once again. Good. After reading The Road Back to You, I hope you will have learned these things. It's okay to not be okay. Your grief journey is your journey. Nobody can tell you if it's right or wrong. I really like that. Hope if you have lost your faith, you'll find it again. If you never had faith, I hope you will give it a chance. Anger and unforgiveness work for a while, but it's not sustainable. It's okay to live your life once again with joy and purpose. And then what I would do is, don't forget a call to action at the end. This is where you just kind of reiterate. The Road Back to You is a blank book about a grieving mother's journey from this to that will inspire you. And here's the other thing. If you kind of think about that question that I asked, think about how much of this is memoir and how much of this is help for grieving parents. If you're really leaning more toward like the memoir side, then you don't need to limit yourself in your readership to people who have gone through this, right? Lots of people read, memoir readers are more likely, I would assume, like, for example, if I'm the victim of a tragic cancer scare, I might not want to read other memoirs like that, but I might be really encouraged reading a memoir about somebody else who went through something that was also hard and harrowing and went through it. So if think through that question that I asked you, and then if you find that this really, you might have a bigger audience than you think you do, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And then really try to pinpoint who that audience is. And so you can add, I would just add, kind of do it Mad Libs, call to action at the end. Name of your book is a adjective book about this and that, written for people. So, the written for people, that's where you want to come up with. Is this written to, it sounds like your primary goal is to help other parents who have gone through this, but maybe, like I said, you might have narrowed your audience. Maybe your goal is to raise awareness for other families. Maybe it's to bring compassion. So, not many parents in the grand scheme of parents are going to lose a child to suicide, but a lot of people are going to know somebody through first or second hand who's gone through that, right? So maybe just think on that for next time. Like I said, you might have a bigger audience than you think.
Okay, sounds good. I do it's hard because I don't know, it's not necessarily a self-help book, but it's more a book of hope, like from just kind of like, I hate this is cliche, but tragedy to triumph kind of.
Exactly. Honestly, if that's how it is, then I would not limit your audience in your minds to people who have gone through this. I would say your audience are people who need some hope, people who are interested in the grieving process, maybe even like parents of kids who might have suicidal tendencies, right? Like maybe there were things that a parent is worried about, like, should I be concerned about this? So I would think on that. It sounds like this is, if it falls more in the memoir, then your audience is actually really big. There's a lot of memoir readers, and that story of tragedy to triumph is huge in those, because it can encourage anybody, right? Like I think all of us on this call now can be like nodding our heads, being like, yeah, this would actually be an encouraging story, even though I haven't gone through it.
Okay.
Yeah. All righty. I'll pass it over to you, Melanie, because I know you've got some housekeeping things too. And then, yeah, I'm more than happy to keep on talking about blurbs for next time, blurbs and categories and all that.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because I know that's a thing that a lot of people get stuck on. It's funny, they get all the way through their book and then they get to this point where it's just like, oh no, the very last part, it's the marketing that people get stuck in their head and overanalyze it, or they don't think it through all the way. So I want to make sure that we have this. We do have some trainings in the course. So as you guys go back and you get closer to launch, just make sure you're reviewing certain areas of the course. This is why we start getting you to work on your book descriptions and categories while you're planning your book, and market your book while you're writing it, so that it's not such a like, okay, my book is finally done, surprise, now it's launching, buy it, and it really is an organic growth, and it is a process like everything else. And you guys are doing so great, and I'm so proud of you. And Alana, thank you for being here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I see one question. I'll answer that, and then I'm going to bug
Sure.
out while you finish with the details. Would I change my back cover to match the blurb? You can, but it's really especially since a lot of the sales are going to just be coming from Amazon, the back cover is less important than the blurb itself. So it would be okay to play around with your blurb, even if your back cover has something different on it. That's not a problem. If you find that you're going to be doing a ton of like book signings or going to conventions, or you're actually going to be like handing your book to people saying like, do you want to buy this? That's when the back mat or the back cover becomes more important, but honestly, it's not a big deal. And unlike the subtitle, Amazon doesn't care if your back cover doesn't match the blurb. So the blurb is easy to change. It's easy to test. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. You have like an infinite number of chances to get your blurb right.
That's true. And the beauty about Amazon is like she said, you can go in and change it anytime.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
my dog is still nonstop. I swear. It's amazing I can get through one Zoom ever. And it's literally like sometimes 12, 14-hour days of being on Zoom. And you all know what it feels like to be a Zoom bee. So she's been pretty patient, but I think she's at the end of her rope. Okay. Thanks,
Bye.
Alana, for being here. We'll see you back in 2 weeks from tonight. And for those of you who are joining us and you're not watching it live and you're watching the replay, I'm going to include the link that also has the chat. So some of the questions were asked in chat. You might not have heard the question, but I really want you guys to use this as a training and see how it pertains to you and with a nonfiction book. So just, if it's something that's a little different than what you have learned or what you've done, don't panic. It doesn't mean you have to go back and change everything drastically. But remember, your book description needs to be, it can't be really, really long because most people aren't going to read it. And if you imagine all of that on a back cover, it'd have to be like, a book that's like 8 by 10 feet, so you want to keep it short and sweet. You want to make sure you put your most impactful statement at the very top because you want them to click on more to get to know a little bit more. And, one of the greatest things is, like she said, use the word you. Remember that your books, even if it's a memoir about your story, your book still needs to be about your reader's solution, right? In other words, it might be like Trish, your book, but it's their grief, right? And they're reading about your grief, but they need to see hope in it too, because they don't want to read another book that's going to make them sad. They want to feel inspired, but they also want to find resolution. So anyways, that's that on that part. So we're going to be back in 2 weeks. Real quick, I wanted to share with you guys, I'm going to put this in the chat as well. I did send you out an email today. So take a look and check your emails about the event that we have coming up. If you need more help with this stuff, we have a live training where we're going to start doing some 1 or 2 day immersive events over the next year. You guys will all have access to this for free. Other people have to pay for these events, whether they're 1, 2, or 3 days. Because a lot of times we're giving an overview or maybe we're doing a deeper dive on one subject. For example, we have upcoming events on book marketing. There may be people that aren't in our group that have already written a book that we get asked every day, can you help me sell my book that I launched a year ago and I haven't sold any copies? Or, how can I get more people to read my book and buy my book? So there is a lot of ongoing support and marketing on that side. But this particular one that's coming up is January 29th. It's a Saturday. So if you're watching this on replay, it may or may have not already happened, depending on when you get to this. And you guys have an opportunity to invite people to this event. Not only do you get a free ticket, but we put together a free training that's 1 hour, that's 10 ways to build your business with a book. So it's meant to educate people and inspire them on the process. So some of you may be at that stage, some of you may not be quite there yet. And yet the beauty is you're going to get to learn a lot. Even if your book's already out, you're going to learn a lot from this process and recapping a lot of it. So it's just a 1-day event, but it's free for you all. And the people that are outside of our organization are actually paying to come to this event. So we set up an affiliate link for all of you. So a lot of times when you tell people I'm writing a book, I'm launching a book, the first thing they say is, I want to write a book, or how did you do this? So we made it super simple. And I just wanted to give you a quick recap of what it looks like. I'm going to share my screen really fast so you have just a little idea here. Let me get out of this. You can see I have all this. So one of the things, can you guys see my screen okay? Yeah. So one of the things that I like to do is keep everything in the notes section. So that way, if I can have this quick, like cut and paste. And this is an example of what the page looks like. When somebody opts in, if they have your affiliate link, you're going to get your own private link, right? I'm going to show you that in just a second. So they're going to go to this page. There's a quick video here. And this is all the information about the program. And they're going to get a free training. So they can click on it and watch this for free right now. And really at the end of this training, it's going to talk about the event. It's going to give them a chance to buy a ticket to the event. So if they click here, they're going to opt in, they're going to get, the register for the event, take me to the free webinar, so that's going to give them an opportunity to get it all for free, to see it. And then they get a chance. If you go to the free webinar and you register for that section, which I'll just do real quick, this is what it's going to look like. So you just they put in their information. And when they do that, all your information will be embedded in their contact file. So you will forever be their affiliate. So by sharing this event, talking about it with other people, you'll get credit for that referral, which is really helpful for you. And what happens is after about 30 seconds, this is a complex funnel, right? By the way, this is not something that you do if it's your first event, because it does take time and effort. And I did have to hire somebody to do it, but I just wanted you to see how it works kind of behind the scenes. So they go to this opt-in page, they watch the webinar, and after about 30 seconds, there's going to be an offer here, because some people may only watch a few minutes and then cut out. And you want to kind of get to the chase of your event. So you can scroll down and see, here's a little bit more information about the event. Here's what we're doing. This is all what it's about, the benefits and the pricing. So it's going to be $197 for 2 tickets. So that's basically, they're going to get 1 ticket for free that they can invite somebody else. And then there are other bonuses. They're going to be able to get on the phone call with someone on our team, talk to another best-selling author, and get a little bit of a free consult to figure out how to map out their plan. Now that actually becomes a sales lead for our company, as some of you may understand that funnel, and you can apply this in your own business as well. And then when we give them the free clarity call, it basically helps us determine whether they're a good fit, whether we should invite them into one of our programs, or if it's not. If they immediately say that they're writing a fiction book, as you know, we focus on nonfiction, so that wouldn't necessarily be a fit. Now we have done a couple of experiments where we've had AJ and Michael, we've done a couple of children's books, we did a cookbook. So we've been experimenting with those. It hasn't been something that we've been going out and trying to broad market those ideas to. So for this example, it's nonfiction, because we're trying to appeal to people that have a business, that want to write a business book or a book about their expertise, show them how to do that and leverage that and build that as a client conversion model, list builder, speaker platform for their business. So really quickly, this is what they're going to see. Then when they go to the events page, they click there to buy their ticket. They're going to get a checkout page like this. When they buy their ticket, they're going to get another notice that's going to give them a chance to do an upsell for another $100, a total of $297 for a VIP upsell with all these other bonuses, recordings of the event, blah, blah, blah. So they'll get a chance to do that. And then what's cool is the minute that they actually purchase the ticket, and they will get their own affiliate link. So they can also become an affiliate of the event. So the affiliate link, the thing that's important is if you are going to talk about this event with people, make sure you go here and click on the affiliate link that I'm also going to put in the chat. And all of this was sent to you via email today. I just wanted to do a really quick little housekeeping instructional thing so that you guys are clear on what it is. But if you click here to become an affiliate, it won't do it for me because I'm already signed into my Kartra, right? But if you click here as an affiliate, it's going to take you to a page that will explain everything, and you register as an affiliate. You set up whatever payment portal you want, right? And then it's going to give you your own custom link that you can actually use. So when you send out that link, it's going to take them to the opt-in page to watch the webinar and sign up for the event. Okay. And what the beauty is that we're able to structure this to where the reason we started charging for the event is because when we do charge even a little bit, people show up, they're more engaged, they're more excited about it. And the way that we can drive a lot of people to this event is by setting up an affiliate link. So we have over 100 people already promoting this event, marketing it and selling it, because we're offering 50% of the ticket price. So if anybody comes in that you invite, you get 50% as an invite to say thank you for inviting them to our event. And then if they do enroll in our program, we also pay you an automatic referral fee of $500. So it doesn't matter which program they come into. Most of what we're going to be talking about at this event, when there is an enrollment period, is going to be our annual program, which you guys are in now. Some of you may notice that that fee is going to be higher than what you paid. That's because we add additional elements. We add more value. Alana Terry is an amazing addition to our team. I'm sure you would all agree. Sharon does a lot for you guys every week as well. Those things weren't included as benefits in the original program. Like when Nigel first signed up, none of that was in place. So every time we raise our price, it's added in for the new people that come in. But for those of you that are already in, you get it as an added value automatically at no extra cost, as well as our free trainings and events like this. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of this. If you had any questions about it, check your email and go through those links, register as an affiliate. And if you are attending the event, just reply back to the email so we can add you into the attendee list for free. And then when people do buy a ticket, they'll get a promo code that they can invite a friend. So this is a very complex funnel. We did it through Kartra, and I will share in our calls up to the event how we promoted this event, so you can see how it's promoted, and you guys can duplicate this in your own business for your own funnels and your own events. And I would suggest you start. There's different ways you can start with your virtual events if you're going to do things like this and have a call to action or an offer, where you don't have to be at that level of what we're doing at the level and the quantity that we're doing. But you can start it even like we did our very first virtual event about a year ago. I used to do some in-person trainings and events, and that kind of limited for people to have to get on a plane and stuff like that. So virtual events are definitely here to stay. And I've invested quite a bit of money in learning how to do them. I am working with Sage Events, Barry and Blue, who work with Tony Robbins. They work with Dean Graziosi. They work with Pedro. They work with so many people in the industry. And these are people that are doing multi-million-dollar events. So I want to learn this process to be able to teach you guys how to do it and simplify it so that you don't have to go through all this, expensive software, training, funnels, and experience to get the value. So I just wanted to throw that out there really quickly so that you know how it works. And so just in the simplest thing, check your email. If you didn't get the email, let us know. We'll send you out the links again. I did put them in here as well. So if you want, you can register for the opt-in page and watch the video so that you understand what this event is about and how it benefits people that you're inviting and even yourself to attend. And then let me stop share here. And then what I'm going to do is put in the chat again. I'm going to put in the chat the affiliate link as well. So just make sure before, if you are going to share it with people, make sure you go register for your own affiliate. There's no cost or anything like that. And it's just our way of saying thank you for endorsing the event, getting behind it. Some of you we may even have you work with us at the event, because we're going to have different breakout rooms and things like that as part of the training. And it's going to be a full day workshop. So not only will you learn a lot, but some of you might be able to contribute or work with us on our team for this event. So we'll be reaching out to you. If you are interested in that, let us know. I know Leah has done that in a couple of our events and did a great job. And this will be another similar event to that. So appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, let us know. And otherwise, thank you for being here. And those of you launching in January, I will send you an email. We're looking at that week, that end of January, that week, on probably a Wednesday or Thursday morning, that we can launch your books, and we're getting all those materials final. So congratulations. And those of you that are trying to launch for the February launch, make sure you get your final materials in. If it needs to be edited, if it needs to be formatted, we need at least 2 weeks minimum to do all of those things and turn them around. Okay, so try to get those things final and get them in by February 1st if you want to try to get a launch in February. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate you guys and take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.